Okay, let's make sure everything is in order and we will get started. Okay, looks good. Okay, good. All right, so we were working on roads this morning and we did one test road painted up and I'm pretty happy with it. There's advantages and disadvantages of it being 10-inch sections. The disadvantage, of course, is that you have a lot of some breaks in the road. The advantage is that, we can make some variations in it a lot easier. So that's the material that we had. It's 10 inches long. That's what we're going to go with. So these are the colors that we ended up using. This is not one of them. That's the glue. And yeah, so let's have at it. We're going to make the other sections that look just like this. There you are, Joe. You working today? I'm not. Work on this. Okay. So first things first, the first color is Territorial Beige. Oh, you're working in my old stomping grounds. It's still the same stomping grounds. I'm just a little bit further north. Hopefully you don't get caught in one of them many accidents that have been on I-75. There was one yesterday that shut everything down. I don't know what it is about that area between Gainesville and Ocala, but always gets a lot of traffic, a lot of accidents in between that. I think maybe there's other areas that have just as much accidents. They're just farther away, so I don't hear about them. Yeah, we need to use the readers for this, the super readers, which I'm not sure that there's a way to tighten them. They're already awfully pretty loose. They're pretty loose. We're just going to go ahead and do all in this color, and then we'll turn around and I don't even know why I even do a test run. It's just stage fright. I'm afraid of getting down in the wrong direction. Not that I remember the last time that happened. I was going to go to Hobby Lobby and get some folk art brown paint. I was just like, well, let me just use what I've got, because I've got plenty of it. It's just a little bit more watered down than I would have liked, and ends up being just fine. Honestly, the road isn't that useful in this game, other than like an objective, or can't move that much faster down the road. The game just becomes that tactical and doesn't make that much of a difference. If they had not given us today off, I would have taken it. I just going back to work today it's just silly. Went to go to a little town and see a big fireworks display that they had. It was honestly, they had it going for about 17 minutes. That's pretty impressive. It took a while to get out of there. And once we're done with this, I'm probably going to go ahead and make the special pieces of the road. Might as well. I don't want to really work on the building bases until the bricks are here, and the bricks aren't going to arrive until Monday. So I wanted to do one of these because at a glance it looks kind of like I'm on the wrong track. The hell happened here? What the hell happened here? Well, might as well correct this as soon as I can. Might have to go back to this one piece. Skirmish rules for Vietnam War. Plastic Soldier Company. Well, not exactly one of those wars that I particularly care to game. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I'm American and it wasn't a win. It just doesn't interest me. I don't really like asymmetrical stuff. Regardless of who the symmetrical is in the equation. Yeah, this looks pretty sorry right now. That's why I decided to finish one all the way through. So somebody's thinking, man, this doesn't look very good. You know, I had an idea what it was going to look like, and it pretty much turned out that way. But it doesn't look like, it looks like I'm way off the track as I'm doing this. There's just a lot of stuff that maybe doesn't look right. I got a vision of what I want it to look like. It's just a matter of, can we get there? And I think so. There's lots of examples of stuff that I do like that people have done. And sometimes you try to dissect, okay, exactly how did they make this? What colors did they use for this? None of this is hard. It just takes some time. And if you don't have time to do it, well, then I guess you have to buy commercially available stuff. But, you know, my intention was never to do this kind of gaming and use felt and stuff. That's sorry looking. We're past that. I need to stop doing DVA to use felt here. was watching Tour de France, saw something so French it made me think of your cafe. It was, oh, the orange cock, huh? The golden cock. Well, I have a name for it, and nobody has asked me what the name of it is. So I'm probably going to tell you what it is anyways. But the problem with creating my own name for it is that I have to create my own sign. And that's not the problem, because that would be the most, that, the golden cock. Yes. It's the year of the cock. I would have to make the sign, and that's going to take a lot of man hours. So it's coming. We're going to do the road. We're going to finish the roads. Then we'll finish the buildings. Then what else is left for this scenario? We've got those buildings. They'll come up at some point. Just not for this scenario. We're going to play the game before we pull those things out. I got a couple other buildings that, we're going to have one area that's destroyed, another area that isn't. I don't know if you saw this the other day, but sometimes I'm really impressed with the way something turns out. I was talking about this, this village map that I have, this cobblestone. And I've had this for like 30 years now. And I decided just to give it a light dry brushing. And I don't know if you can tell on there, but the shine, it's amazing looking. So I don't think I'm going to, made in Taiwan, wow, not made in China. I'm probably, I think, going to cut this into sections. But this is going to be, like the street, like if I've got some Berlin type thing or something like that. It's not going to be a little French village. It's a little bit too, you could cut it into strips and make roads out of that, but, they're not going to spend that kind of money, those kind of resources, making a road that goes just through the middle of the French countryside. That's what this is for. So yeah, as much as I want to really come up with my own name of a place, it's a lot of man hours. That's why, I didn't want to, I could go back and paint those signs on those buildings that I did. I went ahead and just printed stuff for the time being. I guess I could probably do the sign on my paint program and edit it there, and that way, I don't know, I think it needs to have a custom sign. And somebody's got to make some 20 millimeter like chairs and tables and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be fully furnished, but it's an undamaged building. It might be ransacked, but it looks physically undamaged, at least from the outside. The Côte d'Or, yeah. That's a good name. Almost sounds like what do you call a Chinese restaurant in France? Were there Chinese restaurants in France in the 1940s? Golden cock. Why'd that remind you? How was that on the Tour de France? Went by a place called that, or is there a biker that's his nickname, the Golden Cock? $15 million. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I can handle it, and it'd be satisfying. The problem is I don't think that's a good use of. By the time we get around to that, which will be after this scenario's done, I don't mind doing it because that's literally I'm a sadist. That would probably be the most fun thing to do for me. Nothing of what I've done is hard. It just takes time. It just takes time. You got to stay on topic. Can't paint a bunch of different things at once. All right, did this fiasco that I forgot to finish dry? Let's see if it's dry enough. So I'm thinking, this is me thinking out loud. Say I want to design a sign. I could design the, as I'm old school. I mean, I can use computer stuff, and I've got a tablet that I can mess with. I'd almost want to do it, make it big. Find out what size the sign is, get the right proportions, maybe even cut it out of a piece of paper or something like that. Draw it big. And, or not, I mean, draw it actual scale, but actually, draw it in pencil, then come in with, then take a photograph of it, and then tinker with it on the drawing program. Probably the way to do it. The good thing about having the drawing program and printing it is if something happens to the one, I'm gonna have to create it from scratch. I could just make another copy of it. But it's gonna have some graphics. It might be some simple graphics, but I don't want just, hey, here's the sign of this place, Golden Palace or something, and there's, nothing there, So just other than a name. I mean, we could do better than that. So and I was looking through my garage yesterday, and I actually came across the balsa wood that I had. And in my last move, I've had this box of balsa wood and basswood from, just decades ago, and I haven't done anything with it. And I was talking about one of my buildings that I had actually did not come complete. It's missing the third floor. It's more like a ledge that was on there. The building's destroyed, so it was only like a ledge on that floor anyways to begin with. And I could just build it out of wood and then make it look weathered. And I'm like, wow, I was just thinking, where the hell's that wood at? And I found it. Got this big box of wood. So that's something else we can do while I wait for the damn bricks to get in here. Okay, the bricks are on the way, but they went through California. They came from your neck of the woods. They came from Australia, from a company called, I had a lot of hobby stuff, because the places, they don't sell it directly. I had to go through an intermediary. What the name of this place is. Maybe you're familiar with who they are in Australia. I'll tell you what the name of them is right now. They have a lot of hobby products on there. This particular vendor is called, and they sell on eBay, they are called A Modeler, but it's more than that. It's A Modeler Club. Man, they have a lot of sales on eBay. Anyways, that was definitely one that the Australian dollar was exchange rate definitely would benefited me. Okay, so that's done. So now this guy here. We're going to go to fawn as the next color. Yeah, the shipping wasn't too bad either from Australia. There's one guy that's a vendor in Australia, and I can never buy from him. His shipping's too much. I'm not saying he's gouging me. I'm just like, I get it. It's going literally halfway across the world. But Nobody wants to pay for shipping. This is kind of in the way. Let's move that somewhere else. All right. Next color up. Let's do them in reverse order. These are the bottom of the driest ones. And we're going to go across the entire piece. When I get to the edges, there's two colors that go next, which is this one here and these. These two will not be over the edges. So this entire thing is being coated in this. But when we get to the next color in the sequence, it will not go all the way to the edge. It will just be the roadway, because it's going to be lighter in color, where whatever the heck this roadway is made out of is being ground down. Those rocks are being ground down with the passaging of the wheels and getting crushed underneath the weight of the vehicle. That's the backstory of it. That's the fluff story to why this is the colors that it is. All right, this one. But I'm being real careful kind of what order I do things in, so it will have a good finish every time. Because this project's been going so well that I'd be stupid not to continue it. And that's exactly how I want it to continue. And make sure we're happy with the results so we don't get discouraged. Appears to be related also to a non-eBay site, bnamodelworld.com.au. Yeah, they have the problem with these bricks made by that company called Joela, or that's what it looks like it's pronounced, which is a German company with an African name. But they don't sell directly to the public. So I was looking for the list of vendors that they had, and they had one vendor that was in the UK, but they didn't sell to anybody outside the UK. And then there was a company in Germany. They didn't sell outside of Europe. So I'm like, man, I got to get these from somewhere else. So, and hopefully I'm happy with them. I am planning on doctoring up the bricks, so they have a consistent, similar look to the stuff that's on the buildings. And we'll know when we get there. I threw about $60 at it. Doesn't seem to have a brick and mortar store. Yeah, it's just too expensive to have all that overhead. Last weekend when I dropped my daughter off in Orlando, I actually went to a brick and mortar store in Orlando that actually had a lot of train stuff, like a fair. Let's make sure we get the right one. We were gonna fuck up. We were about to gonna. And yeah, I'd see one of those in years. So I saw the talus that they had. But that's really for the desert. So I didn't want to start buying stuff for the desert. And again, that sidetracks me. You done for the day? Oh, what time is it out there? It's like freaking midnight or something like that, isn't it? Where you're at? But I was saying earlier, there was a lot of 4th of July posts on the Facebook and stuff like that. It's like 4 a.m. Finished watching La Tour, then you couldn't get to sleep. Well, let's see if I can put you to sleep. La Tour de France. I suspect you mean in bikes, right? Because they have, isn't the car race also Tour de France? Or is it called something else? I want to say that they've got a car race that goes like that. Aimlessly wandering the internet. Zombies. Sometimes there's all kinds of. You spend a lot of time surfing the internet. That's usually how I fall asleep most nights. Fair number of them, anyways. I start looking for something and getting something else, and then the next thing you know, I'm holding my phone up like this, and it either hits me on the head or it almost hits me on the head, wakes me up and says, okay, well, it's time to put this down and go to sleep. I don't know, but yes, the bike's the one sporting event you watch religiously. Might be thinking of Le Mans. Is that a from point A to point B type race? I can't say I watch any sports event religiously or even at all consistently. Probably the one I watched the most consistent has been a long time. We used to watch Formula One, and that's because we used to have a Formula One racing game. We would watch the race and then go race it, go tinker your cars and do qualifying laps, that kind of stuff. But that was shit. That was the mid '90s. Probably when we were doing that. 24 hours. I think they do that here in the States, but they drive around in a freaking circle. Like, that's stupid. It's not a circle, it's an oval. Yeah, yeah. It is this one, isn't it? I'm kind of falling asleep myself. I need some coffee. Nearly done. Mr. Jacques, hello there. No court today? Didn't have to take somebody to court. I forget if you're on the I'm going to see you in court or I can't remember if you're on the pitching or the catching team. I'm sure most attorneys do both, but they would probably specialize in one or the other just to kind of get better at it. Speaking of bonjour, these are bonjour roads. You're on the wrong side. Uh-oh. You're on the bad guy side? I don't know. I mean, they need representation. As long as you don't know they're guilty. And represent them anyways. That's why I couldn't do that. Oh, I'm going to be right back. Let me get some coffee going. No parlez-vous, frog. You don't speak French, you just have a French name? to take a few minutes to get going. And then we will add ice to it so that it won't burn up. Defend the baddies. Well, sometimes they're not bad. There's no French is a language I'm thinking of studying. You know what I have a problem with? I have a problem with accents. And French has double accents. They've got ones going to the left and they got ones going to the right. Defend the baddies. No shortage of baddies to defend, huh? Do you defend the baddies for the same reason that people become psychologists? I figure, you got like a disturbed childhood, so you become a psychologist, so you think, man, my life's really messed up, but I got these other clients that, man, they're really messed up, so I'm glad I'm not in their shoes. Anybody that I heard of that's gone into that psychology stuff, they always have some strange, odd upbringing. Maybe that's why people watch horror movies. Like, man, my day sucks. It's like, but at least I'm not that guy in that movie, man. He's gonna eat it here soon. You'll end up with bricks for days. Bags of 4,172nd bricks. Hopefully they're as good as they look. So here's the deal. I really wanted to get 3 colors. But because I couldn't order directly, I had to basically go with what they had. So, and I wanted what they call the dark red. Okay, because I think mine are the closest to the dark red. So I got a medium red of 10,000, and I got a 3,000 bag of the dark reds, and a 3,000 bag of I think it's the mixed reds or something like that. Some of them just look like they could be very pink. However, here's the catch: the smaller bags of 3,000 are on 1/87th scale. And I don't mind that, because if you look at the bricks that are some of them in those buildings that I have, they're all different sizes. So I'm going to have 6,000 bricks that are smaller and 10,000. Well, I don't know what I'm going to get. That's what I ordered. There, I'm covered. Did I do that on purpose? No, I wanted a mixture of brick colors, and they just didn't have anything else listed that was 10,000 brick, that was in the 10,000 other than that color. So the reality is, I'm probably going to, if they look very different than the buildings themselves, I'm prepared to mass paint them. And no, I don't mean individually. I mean, we're going to use probably airbrush to airbrush some of them to get them more even looking. But we'll see exactly what's involved in that. And I don't know that I'm going to glue them down on anything. I think I'm just going to use them as loose terrain. So, but I got 16,000 bricks coming. I have no idea physically what that means, Yeah, the roads look good. Well, I had to finish one because this honestly looks like shit. It does to me. It doesn't look good. But this looks good. So, and they're actually not even on purpose. They're off a little bit. I figured one side, so when I'm cutting them, one side's going to be imperfect, and the other side's going to be the edge of the material. I'm like, well, I took the edge that was clear and that was straight and messed it up some too. So, yeah, I do not have any idea what 16,000 bricks looks like physically. Like, I mean, is it, how big of a bag? Do they all fit in here? Am I going to need, 16,000 is a shit ton of tiny bricks. Well, it was $60 worth. So, I didn't want to get the 10,000 and only get one color. So, And if they're great, I'll get them in other colors because, there's French buildings that are another thing. So I hope they fit in something like this. All right. Let's see if El Cafe is done. Oh, it never made it. You slack jaw. It'll only take a moment. We've got one of those Nespresso machines, so it doesn't take long. Okay. This one's complete. Move on to the next stage. Yeah, I have no idea what real estate that's going to take over. Maybe it's a mistake. I don't know. But I didn't want all the brick. I don't want. I think it says they're made out of ceramic. I don't plan on breaking any in half. Notice how I said that. I don't plan on it. If I don't do maximum effort to make this look good, I'm never going to get there. But I'll tell you what. I've been so happy with the progress that I have made on this that I actually watched part of a video that I held in really high regard as the gold standard of terrain. And that is these guys from Australia. You guys probably know what it is. That did this Stalingrad board. They did this Stalingrad board, I think, for Chain of Command or something like that. Complete with, factories, stock cars, freight cars, chemicals, a Heinkel 111 that's crashed, subterranean stuff. And I watched it either yesterday or the day before. Now if you can just find a tiny Mexican at the local Home Depot. Use it to build tiny houses? Oh my God. That's a lot of time. You make those in between the jury deliberations, huh? This machine makes coffee. And sometimes it's flavored. It has no sweetener in it. It doesn't need it. It creates like this foam. And it's really smooth. I mean, it's like, and it's just black. Just really, really smooth. Anyways, this is my potion of wake the fuck up. Yeah, I'm curious to see what 16,000 bricks looks like. But, I figured $60 is enough to offset some of the shipping. It was $60 with shipping, so it's not that bad. Oh, that's a lot of money. Well, that makes up for all the blackjack I didn't gamble on the cruise. That is a waste of money. Gambling is stupid. You can do it if you want to, but you have nothing to show for it. I'll at least have bricks everywhere. Nope. You got rid of juries years ago. Really? Oh, I have no idea how that system works where you're at. Do the judges wear wigs there? Because that's just silly. The only sillier than that is if you had to judge somewhere where they wear wigs and kilts at the same time. It's a lifetime investment in scattered scenery. It is. It was. You know, I looked at other people, and other people have it, and there's this guy that puts on games that I've known for a number of years here in Florida, and he uses scatter rocks. He does a lot of stuff in Northwest Frontier, I guess is what it would be called. Battles in Absurdistan, you know, and the Victorian stuff. And he uses a bed sheet for the terrain. Obviously, it's been painted. And he uses little rocks and sand and stuff that he just recoups. You know, you lose some along the way. And it looks pretty good. He even uses he doesn't make his own roads. He just sprinkles them and... he puts this game on at a convention, which means in 4 hours he has to have the game set up, played, and picked up. That's way too stressful for me. It's Africa. Way too hot for wigs. So you guys don't have air conditioning in your courtrooms? So historically here in the United States, courtrooms are very, very cold. Well, and I don't want to make that sound like that's a complaint from me. I'm just that they're cold. Compared to other places. I'm a big fan of air circulation, so like when I go and stay in a hotel room, I gotta turn it down as far as it goes because there's no fans, and I'm used to having a fan, even though my current room here does not have a fan. You don't have trial by jury? So you just present the case to a judge and he decides everything? Whatever works for you. There's not a perfect system everywhere. I got called out for jury duty. I get called about, I want to say every other year or something like that. And I got called to be questioned on the bench as a potential juror once. Well, twice. The second time I actually got picked. But the first time they didn't want me because I basically told them that I wasn't going to, is there anything in this case that might have you intervene with you giving it a fair trial? I'm like, well, I don't want the guy to basically never have to work again because of the conditions of this. Well, what do you mean by that? I said, it's just an honest mistake. You know, I don't think the guy should never have to work again, and tens of millions of dollars just for something that didn't cause him anything other than discomfort in a hospital stay. They didn't pick me. They didn't want me. But you know, it's what am I supposed to do? Be dishonest and say, well, I'm just going to save this and then have a hung jury? I'm just going to be honest. If you don't like my honesty, well then, you know, you're going to have a hard time getting around, you know, being around me. We sometimes don't have electricity. So no AC then, yes, the judge decides. Wow, hope it's no AC then, okay. You sometimes don't have electricity. Man, we need to come rescue you, man. We need to send, do we need to send the Wild Geese Volume 2 to come get you? Oh, man. When I went to Mexico, about 5 weeks ago. We stayed in this apartment downtown that these people that we know had. They eventually moved to the country, but in this downtown apartment, and there was nothing wrong with it. It was nice, and But what I found out is they actually put AC in for us because they didn't have any AC in there. I'm like, you didn't have fucking AC? I mean, I don't mind being hot, but I better be outside doing something. But just sitting around like this and sweating? No, this isn't Mitch's freaking house, okay? This is, I'm not gonna work on my hobby in 88-degree weather. That's just not gonna happen, My balls sweat too much. I have a hard time painting. My balls are wet. I mean, I'm wearing a minimum of clothes, Any less clothes and, you're not going to want to watch this show. Of course, I might get some new subscribers, but I don't think that they're into the hobby, Just like I probably lost some subscribers not having Mitch's feet on here anymore. It's funny, but I'm sure somebody actually enjoyed Mitch's feet. And I'm not being facetious. I mean, like, for real. That's like what they were here for. What's in this fucking coffee? Okay. And then the final insult to this. Yeah, you can't do Australian summers without AC. Yeah. So the ruins that we went to, it was really hot in Mexico, but it wasn't humid. And, I didn't mind the heat as much. Yeah, I would have loved if it was cooler, but like I expected, we were going to be really hot and outside and sweating. So we were. And okay, well, what do you think was going to happen? But it was, 20 or 30% humidity instead of 90 that we're used to. So a lot of it is just what to expect, I'm really hot at work and I have to wear a lot of clothes, a lot more clothes than I am wearing right now. So it makes it that much more uncomfortable. But I also don't go anywhere after work. Like when I'm in my work attire, I'm like, let me just go home and change. Even if I'm going to do something else, I don't want to go anywhere in my work attire. Especially when it's a hot day. I want to change. What do you guys keep your house set to at night? And yes, I'm going to have to, you're going to tell me in centigrade, and I'm going to convert. Because I don't visualize what the hell that is. What's your house temperature set to? Is it 85 degrees Fahrenheit like they want you to save global warming, save the earth, keep it at 85 degrees? Yeah, I'm not staying in a house that's 85 fucking degrees. Yeah, and this is a little lighter, and that's fine. We're going to come in. When you're driving on these roads, the vehicles are crushing all this stuff, turning it into powder. My wife went and asked me something today that she doesn't normally ask me. Usually set the city at 75. Thanks for the conversion for that. So at the old house that had the older AC, if we were at home, it's somewhere between 70, it's near 74 and 72 at night. We couldn't drop it to more than 72 because it would just freeze the unit. This house is a lot newer and the power is a lot less, and we'll drop it to 70 or 69 at night, but in the daytime 74. It's not over 74 ever with the ceiling fans on. I'd love for it to be in the 60s, but you can't afford that. That's why in wintertime we don't use the heat. In winter you set it at 65. In wintertime we don't set it at all. It's like not even on. 64 in the summertime? You got an AC that won't freeze up? I'd love that. I'm moving into your house. Except that's why you lose power. You use it all up. So my wife asked me something she's never asked me before, because we really don't talk about politics or real world shit like this. But she asked me what I thought about global warming. Because we were talking about storms and stuff like that. And not to get too political, and I'm sure most people are entrenched in their positions. And I explained it to her this way. I said, listen, let's assume that everything that we're being told is correct. That it's caused by humans, and we can do something about it. Okay? Let's assume those two things. That the way humans behave can directly affect and improve the situation on Earth. Let's assume those things. And I haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but I've seen several studies, of course there's a study for everything, that the United States and Europe, I don't know about every place, but United States and Europe in the last whatever years, 20 or 30 years, has improved the situation than how it was before, okay? That's a good thing. I mean, nobody wants to live in some smog-covered shithole, right? I certainly don't. I get really bent out of shape when people want to put all these environmental restrictions on us. And we live in a place where they're like almost anti-industry. Like, we don't need we need more jobs than we do, But you go somewhere like LA and it's a shithole, you don't want to do stuff like that. But anyways, so here in the United States and Europe, they put things in where it's been more environmentally friendly or better for the environment in the last 20 or 30 years. But India and China are basically wiping their ass with that. So, and they do most of the pollution anyway. So, do you really want to hamstring yourself and say, yeah, we're going to do all the work, and even though we can't change the world, we're basically handcuffing ourselves. And, it doesn't make a bit of difference because the biggest polluters are polluting even more. Now, the way to do it is, of course, I'm not a lobbyist, but if you want to do that, and I certainly don't want to destroy the world. I think the world will adapt, but we don't need to kill creatures unnecessarily and stuff like that, because of the environment. The thing would be to okay, let's put the stuff that we have in place now, and demand that the other places change their ways, or we're going to start making everything here. Because if we produce everything in the Western world in conditions that are environmentally friendly, then it'll all get made in an environmentally friendly way. But to handcuff yourself and basically pay for all the sins that the whole world is doing, and they're basically not doing any of those restrictions, is just silly. And it's just silly to not see. That's why I don't really get into politics, because, you got people that are in entrenched positions and they're not willing to look at the whole thing, So, anyways, that was just kind of an interesting. It's like, yeah, I don't necessarily have an opinion one way or another, but I'm just saying that it's silly to You know, it's like if you've got a family, right? And you're like, well, you know what? We need to save money. So I'm not going to go to my one game convention I go to a year. But the other people in your family say, well, I'm going to start going to cruises every other month. Well, you're in a worse situation than you were before. And one person's not going to their game conventions. I do try to live responsibly on a personal level until India and China are on board. The long run we do won't matter. Yeah, exactly. And I'm all for them being on board, you know. And I don't think we need to be like, well, fuck it, we're just going to throw things in the garbage can, because it doesn't matter whether you want to save the. This actually happened last night. I saw an example of this. It doesn't matter whether you want to change, whether you think the people can change the environmental conditions in the world or not. The reality is trash is ugly. You don't want to live in a place where there's just garbage everywhere. Like every time I go to the beach, there's assholes, and I'm not saying this is an American problem. There's assholes everywhere. You know, if all the assholes were American, you'd be just like, you know what? Let's leave America, and then they can all be here. It's not like that. There's shit people everywhere. So, you know, take your trash with you. So we went to this field where they shot off the fireworks and everything, and people left their trash in the middle of the field. This is a nice field. Like, imagine like a big soccer field like that had like an amphitheater for like a band to play. And we got up to leave, and there's like tons of trash that people could have just picked up, and not, you know, stuff that they brought with them. Like, take it to the freaking garbage can. You know, the same people that you go to see the movie and they leave the trash there on the ground. Like, you know, that's people that you need to take a belt to. You know, that's just people being sorry. So, again, it doesn't matter whether you think it makes a difference. Nobody wants to live in a world that's just looks like shit, you know? The developing and third world needs cheap energy to develop their societies. The president in India, China, Africa give a toss about the bottlenose, gnat-eared shrew. Well, that's true. They don't, but we shouldn't either. We shouldn't be fooling ourselves that we can make a difference. I don't know. I figured for sure when this COVID thing happened, I'd be like, oh, here's a perfect opportunity to start manufacturing here in things in the United States again. I don't care if they cost more. You know, things cost more without, you know, inflation happened without us even making things here. So let's do it for a good cause. You know, and our friends. I'm not saying that, you know, oh, this is America, screw the rest of the world. I'm just saying, you know, if you live in a society where people are, you know, respected, and, you know, we should hang out together, you know? Not everybody can live here. But, nope, they double down and make even more things in places that just do what they want. There's too many people in on it. That's what I think. But I'll stay up all night thinking about it. Although I did have a conversation with somebody at work, and our company about 3 years ago went from a private company to one that was run by an investment group, I think is what it is. Anyhow, which I'm not a fan of those type of things. But anyways, it wasn't my choice. First thing I asked the owner of the company, brought everybody into his office. I've been working there for 25 years at the time or something like that. And the first thing I asked him, I said, you didn't sell to the fucking Chinese, did you? I said my exact language. You didn't sell to the fucking Chinese, did you? Because I'm not going to work here. I'm not working for the fucking Chinese. Now, we may actually all end up working for the Chinese indirectly, but directly I ain't working for them, you know? Fuck them. You know? I don't mean because they come from China. I mean, you know. I tend to live by the mantra, don't shit where I eat. Exactly. I don't want to work for slave masters, regardless of who that is. Okay, so this looks kind of shitty to me. But you can't really tell what you got until you got the grass on the side. Okay? So let's bring these guys up to that level. We will move this out of the way. We're going to need a tiny little rip off a corner of this. This is where we're going to put Mr. Elmer's glue down. Yeah, see, had I not finished one all the way, I'm looking at this, I'm like, this looks like shit. I'm not happy with that. Now, if I was going to make this for the desert, what I'd probably do, obviously I'm not going to use grass, I would probably put little rocks here on the outside so it could differentiate between. But you don't really need rocks for you don't really need roads for the desert unless you're going to do the Via Balbia. And the Via Balbia is pretty wide. I want to say it's like 10 meters across. I was reading a book, and it actually described like the dimensions of it. I'm like, shit. Now if I got to build that, I got to do that. Although I'm not particularly interested in doing that. I'd much rather do something that's make a board that's similar to the airfield at Sidi Rezai. That would be very cool. That would be very cool to do that. But not only do we need to build model planes, we got to make models of them crashed, strafed, Yeah. Let's not do that on it. Let's not take on everything at once. Let's do France here. Which, speaking of which, Mr. Ben was on earlier this morning and was telling me that according to War Game Soldiers and Strategy, there were several hobby websites that went down because of a server issue. So in between the time I stopped my show and now, I went on there and I said, okay, well, let's see what's on War Game Soldiers and Strategy. And it looks like the next issue that's coming out, it's got me written all over it. It's got a lot of Normandy stuff on it. So I'll probably be picking up that whenever it comes in PDF form as well, obviously. I prefer the PDF. I don't have to worry about a publication being ruined as I'm looking through the pages. And I can also print out any articles I need if I want to, or not. So I'm a big fan of the PDF, and I get them immediately. I don't have to worry about, getting something in the mail that Mr. Postman decided to wipe his ass with and you get it all destroyed or bent, creased. Now, I'm actually impressed that something that's only 2 millimeters thick didn't warp on me. And I bet if I threw this in a bucket of water or the bathtub, it'd warp. But let's just hope we don't need to do that. And after we're done with this, we're going to put some grass in a few places in the middle of the road. Because that happens. Much better. Finally falling asleep. I'm glad that my job here is done. All right, man. Thanks for stopping by as always. I got in a little earlier. I figured you chaps would be getting off work or something. Mainly the UK crowd, because it's a whole other day where he's at. I'm going to stack these on top of each other, or we might have a sticky situation, literally. Good luck for Wales. Soccer, rugby. Australia is playing Wales in rugby. How many rugby countries are there? Right? England, Scotland, Wales. I wouldn't have guessed that Wales had one, but Australia, New Zealand. Anybody other than that? Or is that it? I can't say I've ever seen a game of rugby. Although they have that funny looking scrum thing, which, if you're not used to seeing it, it's like, what's going on here? Oh, look at that. Everybody's coming in for a hug. I'm just surprised that most of the people that watch sports, go out on a limb here, and say are probably male, correct? Most people that watch sports are male. I just think that they would have, if you want more people watching sports, They should have different sports on there. Like, I don't really watch sports, but if they televise like something like, I don't know, women's pole vaulting, yeah, I'd probably want to watch that religiously. Just saying, you know. France, really? France has a, wow, what number? Tonga. Oh, there's probably some big boys out there. What does there eat? Nothing to eat but pineapple, pork, and play rugby. Argentina has a rugby team. Wow. Portugal? What? Portuguese rugby. Wow. Oh, South Africa probably has one, but you didn't mention it. All former Romania? Wow. Gypsy rugby. You think the Welsh steal the ball? Don't let the Romanians get it. Oh man. The Romani. I saw a sport I was actually fascinated by that I caught it on, I want to say it was on Mother's Day or something like that. We were in a restaurant for lunch and something like that. It was in the springtime and it was sailing. And it was sailing like a regatta, but it was done with all the graphics that they do. Like I'm sure they do it in all the other sports as well. But the graphics where they show things that are on your screen but aren't really there, and it showed like the path they were taking. I was really impressed. It was almost like a naval combat type of thing, with no guns. But I thought that was really, really cool. Japan. Japanese rugby. Wow. Italy, New Zealand, South Africa, Georgia. Okay, the Georgia over there. Samoa, Paraguay, Uruguay. That's a lot more teams than I would have thought. Wow. Japanese rugby, huh? Do those little guys stand a chance? Just saying. I mean, it just doesn't seem like. It just doesn't seem like they'd stand a chance. I just don't see like Australians and Japanese like mixing it up. Who's going to end up with the short end of the stick? Is it the same size football as the American football? I imagine it's similar. Let's see. Let's go to top chat. Let's go back to live chat. Come on. Their size doesn't help, so they buy players. Oh, so you got a Japanese team. You got people that don't look Japanese playing on it, huh? Ooh, how does Japan even put up with that? Because they're not big fans of that type of stuff. I'm just saying. I do find it strange when you've got some kind of a national team and you got people on the team that don't even remotely look like what people in the nation look like. I think my ball might be smaller. Okay. Why is it my ball? I don't play that. I'm not responsible for that. Just like you're not responsible for apartheid. I don't get defensive about that shit. It's just funny how people are like, you Americans are all the same. No, we're not. There's lots of people like, we don't need other people from the rest of the world. There's lots of people here I don't like. I don't have to go farther I don't even have to go farther than Florida. There's some people here in this state that I wish wouldn't be here. That's the case the world over. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's interesting. This is a learning experience. Who's got the bigger ball? And it's just kind of a strange shape. Like, why did they decide to, make a ball that's shaped like an eye? I mean, really, ball's supposed to be round. Like, what out of the box thinker was that? I gotta look that up. I'm not gonna be able to sleep at night. Rugby ball versus American football ball. Let's see here. Rugby ball versus. And is there a rugby match that's on synthetic grass? Seems like rugby's always played in a mud hole. Images. Looks like it's rounder. American football. A prolate spheroid, okay, nerd burglar, is about 28 centimeters long. A prolate spheroid is about 27 centimeters long. They're like the freaking same. They're similar-ish. Maybe the laces are different. Differences. Oh, and there's Aussie rules too. Field sizes. Well, this is a nice breakdown. 1 centimeter smaller. That doesn't mean anything. They're the same size. A centimeter. 2 halves, 40 minutes each. 4 quarters. Wow, Australian rules are significantly different. So do the Australians play outside their area? They got to use other people's rules? That just seems silly. That just means like, all right, we got to make one sport and everybody's got to play it. It seems like, well, somebody's playing DBA 1.0 and other people are playing 3.0. All rugby fields, real grass. I got to go use the little boy's room. I'll be right back. Well, I just walked away from this, and then I walked back, and I'm like, damn, that looks good. Just sometimes, I gotta wear these glasses so I can see what the hell I'm doing, and you don't look at the big picture, you know. Yeah, I'm pretty freaking happy with that. No Aussie rules is a no. Aussie rules is a type of football different than rugby or gridiron. That's what you call American football. That's a good name for it, gridiron. Only sport I liked to play when I was a kid was this game that's traditionally known here in the United States as kickball. And it's basically a game that allows almost everybody a fair shot at it, even if your dad was not a sports person, which my dad was not a sports person. I didn't have a dad that wanted to throw a ball around or never watched sports or nothing like that. But a kickball involves the main culprit in kickball is the actual ball itself. It's made out of red and it's super bouncy. It's super bouncy, and it's about the size of, a soccer ball. But it's not hard. It gives a little bit, so it's almost like a super ball. So cool thing is when you're a kid, you kick it and it goes, I don't know, twice as far as a regular ball, maybe 3 times far. It's pretty cool, and it doesn't hurt as much. It's got a kind of a, just think of it as like if a ball is like an orange, it's kind of an orange with a thin peel on it, and it's basically played like baseball. I think it's pretty much baseball rules, except you're pitching. When you're doing the pitching, you're rolling the ball towards the person that's at the plate. And you kick it, and of course, you can kick like a Superman, So, and if you get hit in the head with it, you're not out. It generally doesn't hurt. And it just allows all kids really kind of an even playing field type thing. You don't have to be some kind of a guy that's been bred in a farm to be, some athlete their entire life to. And it requires no special equipment. I used to love that as a freaking kid, as a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old, A Texas friend introduced me to U.S. football. I enjoyed the Patriots 2014, then ESPN got pulled from our satellite TV. Yeah, well, it is. I feel like penalty-wise, it's a real easy game to understand that. And it's just basically a war. You're trying to do a deep penetration. Not to mean that sound like anything it isn't, but that's what it is. You're basically trying to move the front lines. I just don't understand the emotional attachment to watching a sport when you're not the one playing it, or you now have a family member that's playing it. I just don't understand it. You guys watch our videos and you're like, oh no, Mitch is my favorite DBA person and he's not winning this game. I hope Mitch isn't your favorite DBA person. Maybe when he's barefoot, he might be your favorite DBA person. I don't understand the whole, and get into fights and stuff over it. I'm like, you don't even know any of the players, man. Like, they don't know you. They don't give a shit about you. I don't understand that attraction or the correlation between those two things. Never have. I'm just going to dispense with the formalities and just, ooh, this didn't mix well. Got some dark matter there at the bottom. We would be forced to attend rugby matches in our ties and blazers and jackets. It's a cultural, tribal thing. Yeah. I mentioned on one of my shows the other day, I'm like, they ought to dispense with race. Race is good if you're talking about elves and dwarves and humans and stuff like that, but I think we're all better if we just call what tribe are you a member of, what ethnicity you're a part of. I think I just got done playing somebody was commenting about D&D or fantasy or something like that, and that came to mind. Yeah, what tribe are you part of? You go far enough, everybody's tribal to some degree or another. Even the Romans had a tribe, right? Oh, we're raining. Let there be rain. Well, we can always use rain. Especially with no lightning. It is welcome. Lightning is evil. Well, that big massive hurricane was making a beeline towards the place we were in, Mexico, on the cruise, and ain't not gonna be anything left of that place. That's all lowland. It's actually one of the places that we went on a cruise a long time ago, and we hadn't been back in about 10 years, and they hadn't developed any of it. It was almost like they ran out of money. They had this town. They made this cruise port that was in the middle of nowhere in the Yucatan, and they built this town around it with roads and everything, and the buildings were not there. They were just empty lots, and we went there a few weeks ago, and it hadn't changed anything, and this storm's going right towards it. Ties. Yeah, I don't want to be hot wearing a tie. I don't mind wearing a tie. I actually enjoy it. It's empowering. As long as I don't have to wear a kilt with it. Not going there. Not my people. Guess there's always some funny thing that you wear, and there's something else that, is offset by it. They make you wear this dress and they call it a kilt. But it's we'll wear it with a jacket and tie, so people, there won't be any won't be any confusion. It's like my people. My people used to wear pantyhose, but we would offset it with wearing some badass fucking helmet and a sword. And a sword. Wow, you have another drink. Love to visit Mexico. I hear they have great ruins and tequila and the rest of Central America. Yeah, I'm afraid we're not going to go back. And it's not because of the ruins. And it's not because of the people, honestly. The only problem we ran into was there's no order there. So we couldn't leave the airport because they shut the whole airport down due to squatters. There were these teacher protesters, and they were sent to go to the airport and shut the place down. I have to be at work the next day, and the planes couldn't come and go. And the police wouldn't say, hey, that's fine if you want to protest. Why don't you just do it over here where, people can still go about their business? No, they let them shut everything down that they want. They don't move them out of the way. I'm like, well, we can't go to a place like that. And they were nonviolent. They were completely nonviolent. It was just like a bunch of pacifists. Like, well, it's really easy to move pacifists out of the way. All you got to do is just give them a light push. But the ruins were awesome. I freaking love the ruins. And one of the ruins that we went to, we ended up having a guide that was really passionate about it. Was really passionate about the ruins the way I am about World War II. And it was really cool picking his brain. And the other cool thing about the ruins is the ruins were in, one of the ruins in particular was in an area that was not developed by anything else. Because a lot of historical locations in Europe, for instance, they've got something really old next to something that's like brand new. So you've got, the Colosseum surrounded like, I haven't been there. I'm just going by pictures. They'll have something really old. It's all mixed in, and in this particular place, it was like there was nothing new there. I mean, maybe ramps for people to get in certain places, but that was it. It wasn't like they had a McDonald's or you could even see, civilization. So you kind of almost have like a better idea of maybe what things look like than trying to squint your brain to kind of unsee things that kind of mess up your view of what it might have looked like. Any DBA armies for the Americas? Yes. Several. They have, I don't know, a dozen? At least a dozen. And, yes, I was not tempted to build any DBA armies, but I did go and find what the army lists for it so I could peruse them, but went in an area where the Zapotec and Mixtec armies were. They're basically like an auxilia general and almost all auxilia. But yeah, they make figures for them. Pretty decent looking figures. The Gladiator, who used to be a Black Hat, who's now Gladiator again. Makes some pretty cool looking figures. Actually, all their Aztecs and their Mayans all look pretty cool. Mayans, I believe, are a similar army list as well. They're all auxilia. I am tempted to look at the armies and stuff, but zero temptation to go. I can't get this stuff done. I can't do this and get sidetracked by other things. I can't even go and say, let me do stuff for the desert as well. We'll get to the desert. We'll do stuff in the desert soon enough. We just need to do stuff in... I've got no infantry for the desert painted, so that's not a priority. Still want to do DBA in 1/72 because it's your favorite scale. Oh, I didn't know you were a disciple of the one true scale. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about ancients. I'm definitely a fan of, if you're talking about World War II stuff, this is my scale. And I've done other scales before. I've done, micro armor and stuff, but I'm a huge fan of this scale. Huge fan. Ever since I was a kid, we had those. I'll call them Airfix, even though they weren't Airfix. They were NPC at the time. Built all that stuff. Not well. But the one true scale, is somebody on the miniatures page said. I wish I could remember who the heck that was. Somebody who was just being a troll back when. That was before Facebook, so I don't know that people knew them as trolls. Of course, they've always been around in one way or another. Know-it-alls that get people all worked up. Well, that's your own fault for getting worked up by them. My favorite one was, I wish I would have known who was the guy that said, anything larger than 20 millimeters playing with dollies. I wish I would have known who was that said that. I love that one. Anything larger than 20 millimeters is just playing with dollies. I love this scale. And I prefer 172nd and 176th. But if I have it already in 176th, I'll do it. I'll mix them up. I got Shermans. I got an equal number of Shermans in 76 and 172nd, and I got no problem sleeping at night. You know. I just picked up another one. I surprised myself. The last convention, my buddy Scott was selling a bunch of books, and he had one of those. Who are they made by? Not Dinky. I forget who it is, but it's a 176 scale Sherman, pre-built, die-cast. I'm like, well, I already have two of them. No shame in having a third one. So I'm 4A3. Corgi. And it's a fine model. You know, the turrets don't open, and, you know. I remember that Dolly's Commodore stuff. Yeah, I looked for it, man. I've searched for it. I love it. I love that comment. I wish I would know who it was. I guess I could make a post on there. Hey, who was the guy that said this? But then I'd probably get into trouble. You're trying to cause trouble. No, I just want to give him credit, man. Where's this little thing that I got? Look, it's even in the package. This Corgi fighting machines. He was selling this for $5. Well, I can't pass that up. You know, it gets repainted and it looks just fine. I got two of them. Put some stuff on the back. Here's one of them right here. Here's the other one. Yeah. They look great, you know. Can't have too many Shermans. Of course, these don't have nicknames. We got to fix that. Not all American tanks have nicknames, but hey, that's part of the fun. You know, if you make tanks boring, nobody's going to want to play them. You know, Soviet tanks are boring. Well, you just made them boring. You know, you make them all look the same. You don't put any effort into them. Yeah, nobody's going to want to play them. Use both between much good. Yeah, I generally don't like using like the same vehicle in both, but you know, sometimes you have to realize, okay, I already have it. I picked it up along the way, so I either give it to somebody or just use it. You know, it's an opportunity to paint something else in a different scheme. So, of all the sins that people are willing to put up with when it comes to wargaming and scales, that really shouldn't be one of the biggest ones. Some people use HO scale buildings. Yeah, some of those are like really small, you know. Yeah, I used to wake up in the morning in the early 2000s, turn on the miniatures page, check my email. What's that like? I don't use personal email for anything. Check my email, go on the miniatures page, see what new things have been posted. And then I stopped pretty much using the miniatures page when they started adding too many. And I don't want to say I stopped using the miniatures page because I was offended by anything that was on there. I don't get offended by shit. You know, if I don't like something, I'll just dish it right back. And I'm not going to do that kind of stuff online, but they started getting into like too many freaking arguments about stuff. Like people went there and they weren't productive about anything. They were just wanting to start pissing matches. And it's like, you know, you must be either retired or you don't have a challenging enough job. But when I'm talking about my hobby, it's all positive stuff. You know, I don't want to get into pissing matches with people that I'm never going to meet. You know, you're never going to meet them and you're never going to want to meet them if you're in that much of a situation with them. But they started creating too many boards I didn't care about. They had a board for politics. Like, I don't want to talk about politics. I'm here for, you know, history and, you know, and not even people arguing about history, but just, you know, finding common ground. You know, food. You know, people talk about who's got the best hot dog and arguing about what the hot dog is and how, you know, you're subhuman because you like this brand better. I'm like, get me out of here. Like, why am I in this place? You know? And the people with the loudest voices are the ones with the most extreme opinions, just like anything else. Like, let's find. We're here to find common ground, not argue with shit. But I actually know people who enjoy arguing. They don't live under my home, under this roof. That would be really annoying. If you like arguing that much, you should become an attorney, just like Jacques. Why don't they have a jury in South Africa? They would just always be on the side of the defendant every time. Feel sorry for him? I don't know. I'm sure it's a good reason. There's probably a YouTube video comparing all the different court systems of all the ones that come from a similar background. Used to go with a morning coffee daily, now maybe once a week. I don't go there at all. It's too hard to just. It's not picture heavy enough. But yeah, I probably stopped going there around 2009. Whenever they started creating all those other boards, and then the last time I was on there for any length, there was controversy about the guy that was running it was using somebody who was a lady boy on the side, or just something just like, where the fuck am I? I mean, like, what kind of a weird, deranged... I'm here to see about little army men, not... I don't want to have an argument about transgender moderators. I don't care about that. There's plenty of other places you can go and talk about stuff like that, like everywhere else. Always asking for money. I don't ask for money on my stuff. I don't want to. The whole point of this is being free. I have this other guy who's friends of ours. He has a podcast or something. He was telling me about it. It's something not related even remotely to this. But I was really impressed when he told me he did it just because he wanted to do it. So you have a long weekend. I do. And the people that have to work this weekend are folks that are slackers all the time. I'm sure some people that are off on Monday and Tuesday have to work this weekend. Actually, I don't know, but all right, let's put a little bit of grass in just a few places. Yeah, and we were going to go out of town. We decided not to go out of town, so I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. The jury system was phased out so long ago. I don't even know what the reasons were. Nobody I have ever practiced with was old enough to have experienced a jury system. It's interesting. When you relax, you have zero arguments. Exactly. What's your favorite color? Red. Well, mine's green. That's fine. We can get along. Like, who cares? Why it's got to be? No, you got to convert to my way of thinking. I don't care. And yes, normally it would be in the middle, but not necessarily. Not if people aren't obeying the rules, driving all over the place. Like I said, I didn't want this to be ruts. All right, let's do this, and then we'll shake this off and see how this looks. I'm just impressed that this 2mm MDF stays flat. Let's step away from it. Look at it. Looks good from my house. Where is your daughter flying in from? Well, she went on a trip with her roommate, her ex-roommate that will be her new roommate again. They re-upped with each other. And she's up in Erie, Pennsylvania. She's up there in the land of the messy sandwiches. Let's see what sticks to this. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Land of the messy sandwiches. They got sandwiches up there. It looks like they've been. You order one, and before you even get it, it looks like somebody's violated it for you. Yeah, I really need to quit my day job. Messy sandwiches. Yeah, look, they got those sandwiches up in. All right, hold on. I'll show you a picture of it now that we've got the. We could have done lunch over there. Is that where you came from? What's a grown man want to do hanging out with my daughter? Grown ass man. Pennsylvania. Messy sandwich. I better see, let's see what we get on the picture here. Yep. Images. Yeah, it looks like it'd been stomped on. Cheesesteak. No, that's usually, that's hard to get a good cheesesteak sandwich. It is. And supposedly up there, the correct way to do it is to use cheese sauce. And that's like, no. That's like, the bologna of cheese. Or the. Yeah, so she's coming back Sunday. She flew out Saturday of last week. I went to Orlando. I did a tour of Orlando after I dropped her off and looked for, man, but every place is closed. Enterprise 1701 / what was the name? Sci-Fi City. It closed down. One of them situations where the owner died and everybody bailed. I did go to Colonial. What's it called? Colonial Train and Hobby or Photo and Hobby or something like that. And I did pick up something there. I picked up this hobby tack. I was actually impressed. They had quite a lot of stuff, but they didn't have anything that was just said, hey, you got to buy me now. So I didn't. I got pretty good self-control when it comes to, especially now. Now I'm like, I'm never going to use this. Do not buy it. I got really good self-control. Let's do a long one here. I don't know what kind of road this is. I don't know what the backstory of this road is, whether it was some French rednecks. I was going to say, is there a French redneck? There's rednecks everywhere. Oh, you meant meeting up with your family, having lunch. It was just me. No, it was just me. and I just stick around town for a little while. I just went down. We just went down. I just went and dropped her off. My wife had to. What did she have to stay here for? I think something work related. So I just went down there, in and out. Left it, because I don't like being late for stuff. So we left for the airport. The flight was supposed to leave at like 9:55. So we left at 5:30. Drove down there, and the flight was 3 hours late. It was coming in from the plane was leaving Long Island, and they had a problem with enough people at the airport to basically it was an air traffic controller issue, not even weather related. So travel is just such a wild card these days, but everything went fine. She had a good time. We did the fireworks here in town at our local little town, which they did it had an impressive 17 or 18 minute long fireworks. I mean, it was pretty impressive. Let's do this one with not that much grass, just 2 spots. And I might actually put sprigs, I was going to call them, tufts, on a few of these in a few places. Real happy so far. I just can't believe how flat these lay. So, painting both sides and using the sanding sealer first. And let's do a little bit there. And a little bit there. And there. I don't know how well traveled this spot is, but whole point is to make it a little different. Not available in stores. So you haven't done any face-to-face gaming either. Well, you might actually have time to do it. You know, if I did face-to-face gaming, it cuts into this. It cuts into doing this. I'm never going to make this happen if I don't basically hide from everybody else. I'm looking forward to whenever that War Game Soldiers and Strategy issue comes out, because it seems like it's got some good stuff in there. I like that magazine. Digital, of course. And it's half the price. So when are we play testing a scenario? You mean when I get it done? So we got to get this done. We got to get the roads done for it, which the scenario is right here. I got all the trees done. What else do I got to do? Probably when it's cold. But you got to be willing to travel. It's going to be here. What you need to do is I'm gonna do some solo stuff here, and you need to watch some of the solo stuff and see if it's something you're interested in, because it moves really slow, but it has a lot of flavor. But this is not for conventions. I will not be traveling with this. This will be played here and only here. This is way too much production for me that I do not need to be rushed. And if we don't get it finished in one session, it's going to be in the garage. My garage is insulated. The lighting in there is incredible. It's better. There's better lighting in the garage than here, than in this room, which is, I'm telling you, the guy who had this house before was a wizard about certain things. And that's one of his magic spells for sure. He did a lot of things right. And the lighting in the garage is just like incredible. So we got all that. I'm gonna get a 8-foot by 8-foot table out there that's collapsible. I'm probably gonna have to make the mat, which I'm not scared of. Shit, by the time we get to that point, we'll know what it is. Because I want one piece of cloth that's that big. So we'll airbrush it and that sort of thing. But the buildings are done, which the buildings really don't take any part of it. There's no infantry in that scenario. It's just all tanks. So, and I need a barn. I got one building that's supposed to be a barn in a scenario. And then I got to remember how to play this game, so I got to do some rough doing. So, winter time when it's cold, something like that. I just don't know what year. Better stay healthy. But it's going to look fabulous. It's the whole point. If I wanted to look like shit, I'd just use felt. Hotel Tony. That's right. Well, you might have to sleep with a few people. I don't know. It's... You got any Expedia points to use? So I don't want to scare you, but just so you understand the dynamics of how this game works, is every figure, every person has an action chits that they use throughout their turn. They can use that to move, they can use that to reload, they can use it to do their normal stuff. The normal stuff they do is pretty straightforward. Throw a grenade, unjam a weapon, move, that kind of stuff. You basically get one action with each one of the chits. Every turn, most standard folks, unless they're like, superheroes or something like that, have 2 actions for each turn. Every single person. So imagine if you have a squad, and say just for simple purposes, you have 10 people in the squad, you got 20 chits just for the folks. So you got to go through those 20 chits, and you don't pick what order they go in. That's the cool part about the game, is they happen randomly. Okay, there's a couple things you can control, but that's not one of them. And let's leave these out and see how different they look while I'm running my mouth here. What else is new? So this particular scenario is 4 turns, right? So you have 4 allied tanks, which is what everybody will be playing. Everybody will be playing allies. As the Germans are, they're all over the place. They wouldn't be very fun to play in this particular scenario. But this is actually a scenario that's made for this rule set. So there's 4 or 5 German tanks and 4 allied tanks. So let's say if there's 5 German tanks, 4 allied tanks. That is 9 vehicles, all with 5 crew. The Firefly actually has 4 crew members, but just for simple purposes, say 45 crew members. They each have 2 action tokens. So that's 90 tokens. Okay, that's 90 tokens that we need to pull out of a bag and go through one at a time before a turn is over. On top of that, you have movement. You have 10 movement phase for each side. So you've got 10 allied movement tokens, and you got 10 German movement tokens. And you pull 1 token at a time, and that's what happens. So it takes a while to get through 1 turn, okay? So this isn't exactly something you can run at a convention, but it is definitely not like anything you've ever played before, and that might not be a good thing. Just saying, it's... But I got to run it a few times so that when people are here and they're actually waiting to play the game, they're not like sitting on their hands, Okay. So let's look at I'm pretty freaking stoked about how that looks. Now, let's grab our map. One of them. Where's the other one? The other one's not as pretty. The other one was the replacement one. This is the one I actually ordered and got damaged. But that's another scenario. And these aren't big enough to do this particular tank battle. This one you need 8 feet of space. Now remember, it's an actual scale. Okay? So each inch is 2 meters. So just think of it as a role-playing game. It's basically a role-playing game. Yeah, see, here's one of the damaged parts. It's got this stupid line that not only is it a fold mark, that's when we make fun of Mitch while we wait. It's all kinds of stuff could happen. That's the whole point. It is an insane narrative that is going to develop before your very eyes. Okay, so here we've got some groundwork. Just freaking great. Just freaking great looking. Now, I am so freaking stoked about this. And I want to show you another thing. Since you weren't here in the morning, you might understand what the pace of this whole thing is. The construction pace. Of course, we got all the town. We got 6 or 7 buildings. I got so many buildings, I lost track of how many I have. Good problem to have, right? Once you know where to roll. So I took this scenario with my limited electronic abilities. I took this scenario and I took a picture of the card. Okay, so here's a picture of the card of the scenario. Now these are 10-inch sections. Here's a scenario, and I've kind of, I'm going to seal these roads, probably not, because sealant, when you add it to static grass, weird stuff could happen, and I've never sealed any of my bases on any of my figures. I think they're probably safe. So I have 12 sections. Here's the sections. I don't know if you can make that out. Let me see if I can turn this off, maybe. There we go. It's probably a little better. And that is the sections that consist of all this. This scenario is actually, and the only reason I'm following this scenario exactly to the T is because there are victory conditions that are laid out exactly to the T. The victory conditions of this scenario are super specific. this needs to happen by this place at such and such a thing. Okay, cool. So I want to create as close as I can the layout with the roads. So the little dashes I've created are the 10-inch sections that make up each particular part. So you see what's left there, the center of town and maybe one other section. That's all I got left to make on the roads. Now I'm going to have to lay this down on like I think it's 7 foot by 8 foot. It's 7 foot here, 8 foot in this dimension because it's 1 inch squares. 1 foot squares. And, there's changes I'm making. There's a church there. I don't own a church yet. And I don't think that before I do my first scenario, I feel like spending $100 on a church and paying it up. So it's just going to be buildings. There's literally no infantry in this scenario at all, unless one of the tanks brews up and some of the crew members bail out and they go run somewhere to, get out of harm's way. It serves no purpose really whatsoever. So I'm just going to use my ruined buildings to make the center of town. We'll use 3 here, 1 there, and then probably 2 there, and we'll call that a thing. So we need to do the other sections that involve the crossroads. Okay, so wow, we've created a situation here. And we got the woods down, which is an innovative way to do woods, if I don't say so myself. For those of you who've seen the pictures. The whole point is, I don't want to play a game unless it looks like those games that you Brits have in your war game magazines. Because it ain't fair that you guys get to play those, and I don't. So, F you. I'm making my own terrain that looks that good. That's my big motivation to do it. We'll keep these colors here handy. And I'm going to get some agua, and I'll be right back. Now, the other nonsense is, the thing that really bugged me the last 18 years that I was playing this game is that we would come up with issues that would happen in this rule set we were playing. Not to mention any names, but we all know what that is. And it's not perfect. And they're just things that just didn't jive. And because it was a tournament rule set, we just had to accept them. Or we could change them, and the next time you played in a tournament, you'd feel like you're being disenfranchised. Well, the whole point, I really wasn't willing to make all these judgment calls and stuff that you wouldn't be able to use at a later date. So we would forego to play a game that could have been better. This rule set that I'm using, this rule set, is out of print. Not lighting. Flicker. So if there's something I'm encountering in here that doesn't seem right, guess what? We're not playing it that way. Now, I haven't come across anything that falls in that category, but I bet I will. Just because, in the purpose of play testing stuff, you encounter things. So, that's not cool. As organized as this area is, and stuff still falls down. So, anyhow, that is a huge blessing to be able to play something when you encounter a problem and be able to solve it instead of just keep kicking that down the road. Okay, so what we have here is we're going to make some sections that encounter a road here at a funky angle and one that encounter another road at a funky angle as well. So I want the pavement or the whatever to go all the way to the edge. And I'm making it specifically for this scenario, and that'll force me to get some sections that you can use in other scenarios as well. This literally cost nothing but time to do, and it's pretty easy to do. So, Snapdragon. All right, you glue bastard, get out of here. Just white glue, no big deal. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this in. All right, let me think about this before I make a decision I'm not happy with. I'm going to have a road that is going to come into here at an angle, and I'm going to have a piece later on that'll be a wedge that'll fit this at a weird thing. So if this is coming in at an angle like this, I don't think I need to make it any wider here. I think I'm fine having this width. And then this particular piece, when it comes up, I'm just going to mark it. Yeah, I don't think, because there's some area that is not the road that is on this. So I don't need to make another one that's fatter in that place. Because if I do that, then it cuts down on how many of these pieces I can do. So let's go ahead and mark this again in 2-inch sections and cut them out. And this is, everything here is going to be weird. These won't be standard, because all I did with all these other ones was 4 of these all the way across. And I'd mess up the edges a little bit so it didn't look completely straight. Okay, so let's get our pencil. And just like everything, it's slightly off by a little bit to here. 2 inches there, 2 inches there, and we'll do likewise on the other side. That is a dangerous place for that to be. Especially if I'm wearing glasses. I tend to have a little bit of mole man in me when I'm wearing glasses and fumble things unintentionally. Now, the only thing I've done that I'm not 100% happy with is when I cut these, I've used an X-Acto knife. But if I use something else like my Dremel, I'm going to create all kinds of roughage. That is going to be looming around the house. Okay. Kill some of the shadow. And I don't want this to be perfectly straight. As a matter of fact, this edge that's completely straight, I'm going to booger it up on purpose. I'm just floored this stuff doesn't, this didn't warp on me. And honestly, the roads in this tank scenario aren't that useful. I don't know that the tanks move that much faster on the roads. They are if they're moving through woods or something like that, but... So... Actually, okay, so that one must be a little deeper. So we'll do. And this part that has the excess, this is actually the top. So we'll trim that off as we go. These two edges need to be and the only reason I'm doing this is so it doesn't look clinical. I could use something sanding, but then I'm creating all that extra dust and shit that I don't have in this house. I really don't want to go to the garage and do this. It's hot out there, even though it's insulated. That's good enough for that one, and do the same thing on this other side. Well, let's make sure we get the right edge. There we go. Okay, that's good enough. That's what I did with the other ones. Okay. Getting more rain. Thunderstorms expected to end this evening. I'm seeing it right now. Looks like they ended now. All right, I'm going to cut that little bit off. My wife does not have today off, but she's on call doing stuff somewhere else in the house. I'm actually doing exactly what I should be doing, which is enjoying the stuff that you've already bought. So there's nothing worse than buying stuff and then not doing anything with it. That's wasteful and stupid. I do need to get one thing out of the garage in a moment. We're making this up as we go. So hopefully I'm showing it you guys that, hey, make shit up as you go. This is exactly how we did the other ones, and look how well they turn. If it looks like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, well, it kind of does look like I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'll be right back. Going to the garage, coming right back. And things work better when I turn the microphone on. All right. So this looks to be a 60-degree angle. So I'm going to worry about one of them at a time. Let me look at my little map that I made. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So they're 40 each. This is 48. So this is 4 inches into that. So the road goes, if this would be 50 inches. Let me get my pencil here. If the road goes at 50 inches, it would be 2 inches past this line break, which means the entire angle here is inside this by 2 inches. So the road is going to be like this, and this is 2 inches wide, right? That's what I wanted to get this little guy for. It's easy to manipulate. Okay. So this 50 inches would be 2 inches past this intersection. So I'm going to have it go here, and then it's going to go 2 inches up here. Man, something caught on my throat here. All right, Marty, thanks for stopping by, man. Talk to you soon. So this other road is going to tie in this section here. Now, obviously, we're off a little bit because it's diagonal, right? It's diagonal a little bit. So one thing I'm going to check, let's see if there's a correlation. That'd be nice if there was. If there was a correlation between... Oh, I am truly blessed. I need to figure out what's going on here in my throat. Dryness. Okay, these are 1 foot squares. On this 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, man, what is it? It's not like there's any dust here. Just imagine if I was using a sander or something. And on here, each square is 1 inch. So, it'd be even easier if these had been 12-inch sections, but they're not. They're 10. That's what I had. It's what I had. At least it's an even number. So what I want to measure is from one edge to the other. I'm calling this 1, 2, 3, 4. And this would actually be that's 4 feet to the edge. Which means it's 5 feet to the center of the road. So, that's 48 inches. So a fifth piece would be here. I'm going to make a short piece of one of these. And we'll do the edge at a 60-degree angle. Okay, so one of these, we're going to call it this one. I'm going to write on here, this is going to be a, which side are we going to do? This is going to be a straight. Okay, we're going to build one more straight. That'll give us a fifth straight here that will run to there. We have another foot. So that's that one. That's 10 inches. So then we'll go to here. I'm just going to make a wedge. I'm going to make a wedge that's like a 2-inch wedge or something like that on one of the pieces. And then this road will be taken care of. This, however, is going to need, man, I really wish I could write on this, but we're going to make a wedge there for this piece. So then here we have 4. That goes 40. That's 48. That's 36. Right? Yeah. 1. Yeah, it's divided by 12, so each one of these is an inch. So I'm short 2. That's 2 off of that, right? So the distance to the beginning of the road is going to be at 12, 24, 36, 7, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. 6. Six plus 40 is halfway to this. So this is how far we've gone so far to there. Okay, so the next one will have a third of its length. Something like that. $12, $24, $36. What am I doing wrong? Oh, because it's divided into 16ths, not 12ths. All right, so, okay, cool. This is why I like metric better. So that's 30. And that's 36. And 40 is half of the way here. So we're all the way to that point there. So the next one is going to be about like so. And then we're going to go 2 inches. All right, so we need to make a wedge at 60-degree angle. And we can put the wedge anywhere. It doesn't have to be right there next to it. It could be anywhere on It could be at the other end. If it goes center to center, it's like a 50-degree angle. Tie in this one. It'll overlap like that. Because it'll overlap like that, that's what we have that one tie in. Okay, and the other road is not going to intersect on this piece. It's going to be a little bit further down. Okay. So, with that said, this is the one that we're going to use as the top. We're going to sit down for this. And we're going to cut this. Let's put the super readers on. This is totally uncharted territory, folks. And if I don't like how it turns out, this is something I can use for a different scenario. Because I am not a carpenter. This is just one idiot's attempt to do something like this. This is going to be another straight section. I'm just doing this exactly the same that I would have done the other ones. I didn't even sand this. You know what? I could probably use a new one of these. Yeah, how to draw blood on live TV. I swear, I put on glasses and I'm like handicapped. I'm not used to wearing them, so you feel like things are moving at a different rate than you're moving. You feel it's like you're drunk all the time. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. And, you know, I could probably use a sander and do this, but I want it to be fairly uneven looking. So if it looks uneven, that's what we want. Okay. This is a complete straight section on purpose. Let's get rid of this. this one, same thing we're doing here. Here's where we've never done it this way before, is coming in. Okay, we're cutting that in, and then this as well. And we're leaving this flat. Okay. Put this old, you know what, I got another one of these. I do, it's just a matter of it's not right here. There it is. How about I just use whatever's on that one? Straight. That one's pretty straight. So the problem's here. Probably do that again and we're good. Perfect. Okay. Set this off to the side. I have never done this before. I don't know why this wants to untighten. Let's taper that ever so slightly. Oh, there it is. It's back again. The curse of ever so slightly. Oh, I cut the wrong side. It doesn't make a huge difference. Got too excited. Okay, so we'll just We'll do this side right here. All right, now let's see how we're looking for fit and finish. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty darn good. I feel like it's still a little tall there. Yes, that's pretty good. That's pretty nice right there. All right. Okay, so these two are good to go. Should taper this like that. Better. Okay. All right. And then it's going to stop just shy of that one. And then we'll pick that one up where we left off. Might as well make that one. Am I going to be short one piece? Looks like I'm going to be short one piece. Well, the important one then is to get this one at the, actually they're both important. They're both important. They're both important. I could take this one with the angle. We do need a fifth straight. Yeah, we need it over there. Okay, we could take this one at an angle. Nah, it looks like we're going to need this whole piece. All right. Yeah, I really wasn't so worried about. This is going to be a special piece. This is obviously a special piece. This will be a special piece. And I guess this one needs to be a special piece. We can just not make it a straight just now. That's fine. So let's take this off. I don't want to cut a whole other one just yet. We can make a straight piece whenever. I want to do the weird ones. They need to start being sealed. Okay, so this is going to be the one this side's going to tie into. And let's see how different this angle is. I think it's a little bit different. and that's fine. I actually don't want them both to be the same angle. Let's get 0 at the top. And that one looks to be about 70. Okay, this is the one we're going to go ahead and use that one edge since it's kind of straight anyways. There's probably better ways to do this. But I'm not smart enough to do that. This is the wrong time to figure out how to do that. And it's not that critical. I'd rather overthink other stuff. Okay, so then when we have this here, we're going to go from here to here. Okay. And the other piece we just cut, let's lay both of these roads out, make sure the angle looks similar. This one's going to go up here. Sorry, this one. Good Lord. Now, the space in between these looks to be about 6 inches. It's close enough. It's close enough. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bump it up a little bit so it'll be at the top of this. It'll be the very first thing you encounter is this piece right here. Angle seemed to be about spot on. Honestly, just cut this down a little bit, reduce that. If we need this size to be smaller in between it. I think I'm gonna leave it the way it is. All right, let's cut this across. Okay, and this is going to tie in like so. Okay. Okay. Check it again. Okay. We're going to take this little nub off. Okay. And everything from here down. This will tie in like this. All right. All right, let's clean the work area. Now, I believe this is the one that we flipped. That's correct. It dries in 1 hour. It really does. I'm going to move this tank in case something were to happen. All right. I'm going to take our little foam brush. And we're going to paint both sides with this clear coat. And then after this, we're going to stop until this seals. Just keeps it from absorbing and 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 absorbing the color. Probably not a huge deal in this with using the craft paint because it's relatively thick, but I have this material from making my rack there for my Vallejo paints and really have no use for this. And I figured, oh, this would probably be a good idea to, because we're using this absorbent material. Okay, there's that one. This is a heck of a lot easier to paint than plastic. You get a better purchase of the paint on it than plastic. Yeah, see, it's already starting to curl. As soon as you paint, you seal the other side, it simmers back down. Simmer down. And this is all water-based. So we don't have any nasty smelling things. Although I'm probably going to go ahead and peel that off of the cover so we can get a better coverage on it. Better seal on that. I used hardly any of this material sealing all the MDF on the rack, on the paint rack, and I have all this left over. So I'm pretty sure unless something drastic happens, I don't think I'm gonna have to buy any more of this sanding. Actually, I think this was relatively expensive. I think it was like 20 bucks or something like that. Maybe it was 10, something. It was, I remember buying it. I was like, man, this costs a lot more than I should, but I followed the instructions. They told me how to do it with the manufacturer of the paint rack. You don't want to spend the money on a paint rack and then do it wrong. So that's sometimes you get other products that way. That's how I ended up with the Flow Aid and using the Flow Aid to paint my figures. I had all this extra Flow Aid, I didn't know what to do with it. And even though I'm building this specifically for this scenario, I got other stuff that I can use it on. Although I don't think the roads are going to make any difference at all for the vehicles. For the track vehicles. But okay, now the only thing we got left after this is we're going to take this, we're going to rinse this out. Let's take a good look at this. These are super readers, they are, okay. And let me get my tweezers. Wherever they may be. One pair of my tweezers, how about that? Let's see what we're dealing with here. I'll make sure we got a good seal on this. pretty resistant to human intervention. There we go. Come on. At this point, I'm like, oh, you're coming out of here because we're going to get a good seal on this. Come on. All right. That's how it's done. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop right now. We'll wait for this to wait for an hour. Paint the rough gray pumice on it, and it's probably as far as we're going to be able to go until in the morning. It just depends what I have planned for tonight. I don't really know. So that's where we will stop for the moment. Thanks for stopping by. How long have we been on here? Oh, 3 hours and 20 minutes. It takes a while. It takes a while to do this stuff. You know?